And speaking of spooky, I got a pumpkin to carve. So let's get to it. Hi guys, I hope you're well. I just finished watching Poltergeist 3. While I was watching this, I was wondering if I've watched Poltergeist 2. I really thought I had, but I can't really remember much of it at all. Anyway, this third movie, I don't know if you're a fan of the Poltergeist movies in general or just the first one. It kind of relates to the first one in a little bit, just the characters, but you don't need to see the first one to watch it. But in saying that, I would definitely recommend watching the first one over this one. It wasn't a great movie by any means, but I mean, it kind of satisfies that urge or like hunger to watch a Poltergeist film or just the characters and rewatch them going through a different situation. This one centers around the little girl from the first one, who is Carol Ann. And oh my god, by the end of this film, you are so over that name because there's so many times they're just screaming like, Carol Ann, Carol Ann. And yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. Anyway, the film is kind of strange because it takes a while to kind of establish what the main storyline is going to be. They don't really point it out. They don't really talk about it. They don't really get to it straight away. You're not really sure where it's going or what's happening or who really the main character is during the film at all, which is kind of annoying in some ways. I mean, I was just talking about structure yesterday and now I'm talking about it's not structured again, so I completely understand if you feel like I'm wishy-washy completely. I think it was more like I didn't really know where they were going with this, which is sometimes good for unpredictability because you don't want everything to be super predictable, but at the same time, like it's a little bit annoying. And it's a little bit annoying. I'm like, I just want to watch like a plain Poltergeist film. And I think a lot of people pick this up thinking, there's a poltergeist in this movie, but not so much, really, not so much. The film is, as I said before, about the little girl. She's staying with her aunt. Her aunt is actually, what is her name? I feel like her name's Sue or something from Carrie, the like bully chick from Carrie. That is her auntie, so it's quite funny. And she's staying there in this high-rise apartment, and apparently it gets haunted by some poltergeist action. The poltergeist that has been following her around. The film is very in and out of stuff. It's very up and down. As I said before, the characters kind of change around. Nothing is really set in stone, and it kind of has a few false endings. I'd say it's just a very wishy-washy movie. Not a bad movie by any means. It did have some really funny parts. It also has the sidekick from the first one, who I think is quite iconic. And they had this really funny part with the sidekick is like rattling off all this stuff. And then somebody who's like listening to her say all this stuff actually says, that's a lot of crap that doesn't mean anything. So as she's like rattling off stuff, that's what he says. And I thought that was a really funny reaction because sometimes that's how we feel when we watch like these kind of movies and there's psychics and stuff in there. Not that I don't believe that stuff, but sometimes you're like, this is just full of shit. And it was really funny to have someone make fun of the film within the film, which I thought was kind of cool. Another weird kind of sad fact about this movie, I think the girl's name is Heather O'Rourke. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is what her name is. I watched the first one and I remember knowing that she died soon afterwards. Well, she didn't die. She died after this film, the third, and apparently she contracted a cold on set, which ultimately killed her, which is so sad. And I think there was a few cast members in this movie that she became really close with that actually carried her coffin at her funeral, which is very sad. And yeah, kind of like a sad note to leave you guys on. I'm not really a huge fan of this film. I'm probably just gonna give it a 5 out of 10. It wasn't the best thing ever, but it did have some good deaths, and I wouldn't count it out if you're a fan of this franchise. It's worth a watch at least just once. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a spooky month, and speaking of spooky, I got a pumpkin to carve. So let's get to it.